Tonight on CTV, we'll take a look at Colorado State University's homecoming for the year and 2020's Tour de Corgi celebration.
Then later, we will dive into an update on the fire ban and a new holiday to replace Columbus Day.
All that and more on CTV starting now.
Good evening, Rams. I'm Jen Platero.
And I'm Ren Wadsworth. We have a packed show for you tonight, so let's get into it.
Update on Braden and Summit Hall. On September 24th, 6 students in Braden Hall and 3 students in Summit Hall were tested positive for COVID-19 after the university placed Hall residents under mandatory quarantine. According to the pandemic preparedness team, all students who tested positive were moved into isolation. 3 students have been tested positive for COVID-19. Those students have now been moved into isolation. Here's Robbie with more information regarding his experience during quarantine.
It took me by surprise, definitely, because we were getting ready to shut down for the night, actually, and I was about to go to bed, and then we got the email at like 11:30, and so right off the bat we were like, this is bad. CSU is determined not to shut down. They're going to try to do everything they can to make sure that does not happen, but in order for that to, be a reality, us students have to work together and work with them so that, it doesn't happen and we can all stay here for the rest of the year.
In a matter of days, mandatory quarantine regulations were lifted and levels of COVID in the wastewater have dropped.
Jared Polis's statewide fire ban order expired last Wednesday, but many counties have their own restrictions in place. The fire ban was originally issued on August 19th, but was extended through the end of September. Now in October, the ban has been lifted for the state of Colorado. Larimer, Boulder, Denver, El Paso, and Pueblo County are some that still have fire restrictions in place, along with 50 others. It is advised by authorities that if you are planning on having a fire, to know your county's restrictions and to research how to safely build and dispose of a fire to reduce the risk of further fires in the states. Restriction orders can change daily, and you can keep yourself informed by visiting Colorado's Department of Homeland Security website at coemergency.com.
With classes expected to go online after Thanksgiving break, resident assistants are voicing their concerns about their job security. According to third-year resident assistant, being an RA right now is the scariest thing possible. There's not enough support from the department. New RAs did not have enough information regarding protocols. When it comes to expressing COVID concerns, we need to hear reassurance, but that information is not available. The past few months, the Housing and Dining Department has been trying. This department does show diversity and sticks to the university values. There's been a disconnect of information, and in acknowledging these concerns, the University Housing and Dining Department has also responded. Let's take a look.
Challenge, because like I said, none of us have ever lived through a pandemic before. I certainly never received training in any of my education on how to manage housing in a pandemic. So there's been lots of challenges, and I'm actually really, really proud of the Housing and Dining Services staff, because I think people have just jumped in, looked at what the situation is, looked at what the guidance is from public health, and tried to figure out how to make it all work. And then when we found, this didn't work well, we've adjusted, and when we've heard back from students it's not working, we've tried to adjust. So it's been challenging, but not challenging in terms of abiding by public health.
During the worldwide pandemic, nothing can be 100% guaranteed. As this virus continues to spread, our way of living has been significantly altered, to where members and faculty of CSU are also adapting and adjusting.
Colorado State University has launched new resources for students as a part of their Race, Bias, and Equity initiative. These resources range from online forums where students can connect and have open communication and have their voices heard, to helping students network with professionals. Many more resources are planned to be introduced in the future, but if you're interested in what is offered, you can visit source.colostate.edu.
As the month of October takes off, so do water restrictions in Fort Collins. City Manager Darren Atbury signed a declaration for this order last week. That means under the outdoor water use restrictions, lawn watering is not allowed. These restrictions have been implemented in order to avoid any water shortages. This is due to the statewide drought conditions. nearby Cameron Peak Fire and this infrastructure project known as the Horsetooth Outlet Project. This project will work on providing water to both Fort Collins utilities and Soldier Canyon water treatment facilities. These two facilities will serve about 220,000 residents and businesses in Fort Collins, as well as any surrounding area. Restrictions can be expected to lift around November.
As COVID-19 is still at the forefront of everyone's mind, Colorado State University's chemistry department is using a groundbreaking form of technology to fight the virus.
We are determined to make a medicine that is more accessible to a larger group of people.
So everybody got kicked out of the campus. So at that time I was wondering how can we do something, meaningful. Might as well, use our knowledge to do something related to COVID and see if we can make some contribution to this area.
An antiviral medication called remdesivir may be able to help some patients recover from severe COVID-19 symptoms at a faster rate. However, remdesivir is in short supply around the world due to the dangerous chemicals and harsh conditions required to make it. Additionally, the medication takes a long time to synthesize and doesn't create very much product. But the chemistry department, in partnership with New Iridium, have devised a plan to create remdesivir in larger quantities at a cheaper price.
If you think about remdesivir as a drug, we are making a better recipe.
The plan to do this by making new molecules through the power of light. The team hopes to use this light-driven process to create a safer, cheaper, and faster way to make larger quantities of this important antiviral medication. In doing this, it is giving more people a chance to fight the spread of coronavirus.
For more information about the project, you can visit newiridium.com or chem.colostate.edu.
For some, environmental, science, and technological advancements are not related, but here at Colorado State University, researchers are using both for artificial intelligence. CSU is partnering with the University of Oklahoma to study how AI can be utilized in environmental research. The National Science Foundation donated $20 million to help aid in this study. This will result in better understanding of tropical storms and a production of severe weather events, allowing for researchers to find patterns in temperature or humidity datasets. This, in return, provides researchers with more work for modeling and forecast.
The keynote speaker for Colorado State University's inaugural Rams Read has been chosen. This year, Claudia Rankine, author of Citizen, an American Lyric, will speak. Rankine will talk both about Citizen and her recently released book, Just Us, An American Conversation. She will deliver her speech at 1 in the evening on the 21st of October. You can register for Rankine's talk and other virtual events offered in the 20th Annual Diversity Symposium at diversity.colostate.edu/symposium.
Also, pet owners are realizing that their furry friends can catch COVID and transmit it onto other humans. While a small number of cats and dogs have been reported to be infected, most pets will become sick when coming into contact with people with COVID-19. It is recommended pets limit their interactions with people outside of their household and avoid large spaces where large number of people are gathered. While dogs tend to be more susceptible to the virus than cats are, it is important to remember that when coming into close contact with humans, this can heighten the likelihood of pets contacting the virus. This is a rapidly evolving situation, and more information will become updated as it becomes available.
Columbus Day may no longer be celebrated in Colorado as Jared Polis signs a bill to introduce a new holiday this year. After nearly 3 decades of attempts to repeal Columbus Day in Colorado, a bill signed by Governor Jared Polis officially makes the first Monday in October Francis Xavier Cabrini Day. The bill was signed in March and celebrates Francis Xavier Cabrini, a Colorado humanitarian in the early 20th century whose efforts helped the Catholic and healthcare community as well as the state of Colorado as a whole. Cabrini Day is the first paid state holiday to honor a woman in the United States. While Columbus Day is no longer recognized as a state-paid holiday, it is a federal holiday celebrated on the second Monday in October. Now, you may be missing CSU's traditional homecoming, but Robbie Patla is here to tell us what this year's festivities look like.
Take it away, Robbie.
Thanks, guys. College sports season has begun, so you know what that means, Rams. The annual homecoming celebration is here. However, CSU decided to celebrate it differently this year. COVID-19 restriction put on by CSU, the annual homecoming had to be canceled as an in-person event, which made the CSU campus seem empty. However, even though the students and staff of CSU have been encouraged to social distance, does not mean they couldn't celebrate their school pride. This year, the homecoming celebration was moved to an online format instead of carrying it out in person. The event, rightfully titled Stay Homecoming, took place from October 1st to the 3rd and held a variety of virtual festivities the community of CSU could take part in. Some examples of these events included a film festival, virtual 5K race, Spirit Day, webinars, and lighting the famous A. Along with virtual festivities, members of CSU decorated campus and residence halls in hopes to capture the essence of the event. Despite the circumstances, students and families still took their pride seriously, participating in the event.
We saw families participating from afar with their Ram gear, wearing green throughout the week.
Along with Bailey Haar, CSU students also believe that the homecoming was a success.
I thought that Colorado State did a really good job embodying the spirit of homecoming.
I thought it was really cool that they lit up the A. I've lived in Fort Collins my whole life, and I've never seen it like that.
Bailey Haar said that she believes the virtual homecoming was a success and they already have goals for next year. They plan to go bigger with their events, such as the Friday Night Lights and Parade, and plan to have more current student involvement.
We want to see our students create new traditions that become a part of this homecoming and family weekend for years to come.
Just because homecoming weekend has come and gone does not mean you need to stop showing your CSU pride. Keep pushing on, Rams, and keep celebrating CSU.
That's all the news we have for you tonight, Rams.
But don't go anywhere because Jenna Barrow is back with your entertainment scoop right after the break.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.
What's poppin', Rams? I'm your entertainment anchor, Jenna Barrow, and I am finally back on this beautiful Tuesday evening with brand new slices of entertainment for y'all to enjoy. First, let's get into the fall season with the changing colors. Fall is my favorite season due to the beautiful change of leaves. Looking out the window to the world has become a common routine for us all, and with fall already in full swing, so are the changing colors of the leaves. The Fall Colors Tour happens every Tuesday until October 13th and is hosted by the Majestic Mountain Scenic Rides. You can take an all-day tour of beautiful northern Colorado and see the vast scenery we get to call home. A picnic is included with the tour, and you can schedule it on their website. Now, outside isn't enough for you? Well, nothing brings a smile to my face more than seeing a cute and stumpy corgi run around in the fall grass. 2020 has thrown some curveballs to everyone's plans, but this year, the 2020 Tour de Corgi was virtual, and I got a first look at the new setup. I'll tell you what, being submerged into corgi culture was a dream come true. However, some would like...
The 6th annual Tour de Corgi kicked off this past Saturday. They've come a long way from their humble beginnings in 2016, and it all started with one walk.
Tracy said, hey, let's have a little corgi walk in Library Park. She made a Facebook event, and the next thing we knew, it exploded, and 500 people said they were going to come and attend Tour de Corgi.
However, Tour de Corgi had a new look this year as it was via live stream instead of its home in City Civic Park. This year, there was extra special guests.
A lot of fun for those that have corgis, but also it's a lot of fun for our community. It's another great event in Fort Collins.
Not only did the mayor love all the furry rumps and pointy ears, but he also loved the people who run the event.
And hundreds of corgis in costumes. It's just like this explosion of fun and joy.
As usual, there were costume contests, prizes, and fun shirts to purchase to help the nonprofit continue their work.
It's a proud tradition of Tour de Corgi in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Until next fall, until your annual Corgi fix.
I'll tell you what, being submerged into corgi culture was a dream come true. However, some would like to get away and would have to keep our eyes out for the furry little rumps. When taking a break from looking at those cute corgis, Fiesta Flurry scavenger hunt by the Family Center and La Familia can save the day. The socially safe event is happening October 1st through the 25th. The $25 donation entry fee goes towards all the prizes you can win, as well as helping out with many childhood education programs they provide. With 200 different challenges, it'll surely keep you busy. The event is online and all over northern Colorado. Now, all of that scavenging can certainly work up an appetite, which reminds me of cooking and bonding with my family in the kitchen. The cooking studio of Fort Collins has made an event reoccurring weekly, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Chefs lead kids through recipes that will be family dinner. Entirely through Zoom, the kids can ask the chef questions as they learn how to cook delicious meals, and makes me want to grab a plate and dig in. Usually after dinner, I sit down to relax and watch a scary movie. Yet, my favorite are, we're in the middle of spooky season, so who doesn't want to learn how to make scary sound effects? The Museum of Discovery is honoring that by having an interactive Zoom event on October 9th, where you can learn about sound effects used in scary films over the years, as well as learn how they make spooky sounds. It starts at 10 in the morning, and the hour-long event includes time to try out making your own sound effects, and no materials are required. Let's get spooky, Rams. Well, Rams, I hope you enjoyed the Corgis, food, Halloween-themed events this week. Fort Collins is always hosting events, and I'll be back next week with more for the Ramley. Stick around after the break to hear Cameron Evig talk about what weather to expect this week.
Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds? Dad?
Just 1 minute, okay?
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
Do clouds take naps?
I couldn't tell you.
Can birds draw pictures?
I don't have an answer for that.
Dad, do stars visit their friends?
Look!
Good evening, Rams. I'm Cam Evig, and thank you for joining me for some Tuesday night weather. Let's get right into it, not waste any time as we see our current conditions here in Fort Collins. Currently 70 degrees out there. Nice weather right now. Our air quality still pretty bad, of course, from those Cameron Peak fires. Everybody hoping that those end up wrapping up soon as we see our sunset a little bit ago at 6:33. That's getting a little bit earlier. And your moon tonight, a waxing gibbous. As take a look at the moon tonight. Waxing gibbuses don't come around too often as we take a look at the campus today around Fort Collins. Seeing what it looks like. Absolutely gorgeous, as it usually is. Students out and about doing everything they need to do and making sure that they're wearing their masks as CSU requires. Also, the air quality outside, not great as we talked about, so be sure to be safe out there today. Tomorrow, though, this is the overnight lows. As Craig, you see 25 degrees, nice and chilly up there. Gunnison at 25 as well. Alamosa going to be at 28. Pueblo, Denver, and Colorado Springs all in that 50 area. Our wonderful town of Fort Collins going to be at 48 degrees. Sterling, 37. East side of Colorado, Limon 43, Burlington 47, and then obviously you got Lamar at 42 degrees. That's your overnight lows. As now we go into tomorrow's forecast. Going to see what it's like tomorrow. Nice and sunny and shiny. 84 degrees is going to be your high. A low of 46 as we still have some of that summer weather shining through to the fall. Sunny and dry. Your moon's going to be a waxing crescent. The sunset at 6:33 p.m. tomorrow, as we see that's going to get earlier and earlier as we progress into that winter time. Going into tomorrow's highs now, as we see going to be a hot one once again, unless you live in Craig. 72 degrees is going to be your high there. Fort Collins at 84. Sterling, solid 80 degrees. Denver 84. Springs 83. Looking at Pueblo at 88. Lamar going to take the cake today for your tomorrow's high at 91 degrees. Burlington not too far behind at 89 though. Limon at 85 degrees as we see that east side of Colorado being a little warmer than that west side. But getting into the 5-day forecast for what it's going to look like all week in Fort Collins. Yesterday we saw 75 and 43 as your low. Today 83 and 48. Absolutely beautiful out there. Wednesday we see 84 and 46 degrees. Thursday, tomorrow, going to be 86 and 52. Another hot one. And Friday's chance for some clouds finally, but 84 and 47 are going to be your temperatures. Thank you for joining me, Rams, for Tuesday night weather, but don't go anywhere. Hunter Fillmore, right after the break with sports.
It's less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up one finger if you're a man, women 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy. Just go to the site.
Hey Rams, welcome back from the break and to another week of Hunter's Hotspot. College sports are getting back into the swing of things and CSU football is quickly approaching. But let's keep the focus on the pros for now, and what better to get started off with than the NBA Finals. Game 4 of the Finals tipped off as tonight's news show got going at 7. Going into tonight, the Lakers led the Heat in the series 2-1. The first 2 games of the series, it looked like it was going to be an easy sweep for the Lakers because of the poor defense by the Heat on the LA Stars, LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But in Game 3, Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler put the team on his back, giving them a glimpse of hope for the rest of the series. In the victory, Butler recorded a triple-double with 40 points, 13 assists, and 11 rebounds. It is vital that Butler continues to produce for his team if they want a chance at winning this series. The Heat have been hit with the injury bug at the worst possible time, missing Bam Adebayo and their second leading scorer, Goran Dragic, in the first 3 games. With Adebayo dealing with a neck injury tonight and Dragic still out with a foot injury, it forces the Heat's offense to run through Butler once again. It will be important for Butler to stay aggressive on the offense while also looking for help from teammates like rookie Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, who have been killing it from behind the arc throughout the playoffs. Switching to the defensive side of the ball, the Heat are going to have to shut down LA's 2 main scoring options, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, in order to have a chance to even up the series. In games 1 and 2, the Heat's interior defense was atrocious. allowing Davis to score over 30 points in both games and LeBron to score at least 25. Davis was tearing up the Heat's zone defense, and in Game 3, the Heat focused on keeping the ball out of Davis's hands, and that's what got the win for him. For the Lakers, the key is going to be getting that ball into Davis's hands. In Game 3, Davis only had 15 points on 9 field goal attempts. That is less than half of the points that he had in both of the first 2 games. Another thing that the Lakers will need to do is slow down Jimmy Butler and make sure that he doesn't score another 40 points again. We all know what LeBron is thinking, and that is vengeance after a loss. So the Butler-LeBron matchup is going to be a fun one to watch. Switching from one professional sport to another, from the NBA to the NFL, let's take a look at the impact that COVID-19 is having on pro football. Last week, right after Week 3 concluded, the Steelers and the Titans game was postponed due to COVID-19 outbreak with the Titans organization. Tennessee currently has 10 players on COVID-19 reserve list, but as of yesterday, they seeming to have none, and it seems to be like it is more under control, with no new cases reported. The Steelers and the Titans game has been rescheduled for Week 7 in the NFL season, with both teams switching their bye weeks to Week 4. The Titans are scheduled to play the undefeated Bills on Sunday. If the Titans continue to have no positive tests over the rest of the week, there's a much higher chance that the game will be played. Tennessee wasn't the only team affected by COVID last week. Patriots quarterback Cam Newton tested positive for COVID on Saturday, right before the New England matchup against the defending Super Bowl champion Chiefs. As a result of the positive test, the Patriots and the Chiefs game was moved to yesterday, where veteran backup Brian Hoyer filled in as the starter. Under the Monday Night Lights, Hoyer struggled, throwing for only 130 yards and an interception, and also losing a fumble in the process. Hoyer was eventually benched for the second-year pro Jarrett Stidham, who came into the game and threw for 60 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, including a pivotal pick 6 when Tyrann Mathieu, with Cam Newton out for the rest of the season, for the foreseeable future, the Patriots are going to be in trouble at the quarterback position. With countless injuries and COVID tests hitting the NFL all at once, your fantasy team may be in shambles. But don't worry though, I am here as always to give you some advice on how you can make your team whole again. This week, I want to focus on players that you should trade away in order to have a more complete team and gain some assets for the future. Starting this week off, the first player that I want to talk about is Bengals running back Joe Mixon. Last week against Jacksonville, Mixon had a monster performance, scoring 3 touchdowns and having over 150 rushing yards. This week for performance is going to look good on paper when you're trying to get rid of Mixon. In weeks 5 and 6, Mixon will be facing 3 of the top 10 rushing defenses in the Ravens and the Colts. This means that Mixon will come nowhere close to the amount of fantasy points that he did in the last week against the Jacksonville defense. I recommend reaching out to those owners that have either Austin Eckler or Nick Chubb, 2 star runners who were out with injuries last week. These owners will be in need of a number 1 running back and will be desperate with all of the lack of waiver wire space there is. Next up, I am recommending that you trade DK Metcalf as soon as you can. I'm not suggesting that you trade Metcalf because he's a bad player, but because with recent injuries, you are probably in need of a player at a different position. If you already have a bunch of depth at receiver, Metcalf is a player that you could spare trading for a massive price. Metcalf is currently the number 2 receiver in both standard and PPR leagues and is averaging 14 points per game. With these stats, owners are going to be very eager to add Metcalf to their team. However, looking at the schedule, once again, things get a lot more difficult after Week 5 for the wideout. The Seahawks still have to play the Cardinals twice this year, and the Cardinals are the 3rd-ranked pass defense in the NFL. The Seahawks also play their other division rivals in the 49ers and the Rams, who are both in the top 10 for the lowest weekly points allowed to receivers. Even though Metcalf is an ascending talent, he will be facing much better defenses as the season continues. The pace that he's on right now is not sustainable, and his quarterback, Russell Wilson, is bound to slow down as the season goes on, which hurts his overall value. The final player that you should trade away is Cooper Kupp for the LA Rams. Kupp has had 2 decent games in the past couple of weeks with a touchdown in both games, but the next 3 weeks he faces the top 10 pass defense in the league. Next week he will be taking on the Washington football team. That's all we have for tonight, but make sure to tune in tomorrow night.